Congratulations on getting access to this video course on how to set up your very own digital membership site. I'm really excited because I'm going to teach you the same exact steps that I use to set up every single one of my digital membership site. All right, so this is video number 1, which is the introduction. And again, welcome to your digital membership training. And what I want to do before I get started is kind of give you a quick overview of what's inside this video course. So we have video number 1, which I'm going to talk about the introduction, the mindset that you need to be in, because I really am a big believer in getting into the right mindset, because once you're in the right mindset, then everything tends to fall in place a lot quicker. And then we'll talk about tools, which, to be frank and honest, you're not really going to need a whole lot of tools right off the bat. We'll talk about free tools, we'll talk about paid tools, we'll talk about membership scripts later down the road, but not right now. Video number 2, we're going to talk about your products. You really need to have an idea of what you're selling before you set up your digital membership site. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people buy the membership script and they want to set it up right away, and they don't really know what the plan is. So depending on what your product is, depending on what your price point is in video number 3, for example, that will depend on those items will pretty much show you what you need to do. If you don't know these items and you try to set up your membership script, then everything will sound complex. All right. So video number 4, we're going to show you how to map things out so that you have a step-by-step blueprint or plan, and you know exactly what to do and how to activate your plan. And that way also, when you run into roadblocks, you'll know exactly what's ahead of you, and it'll be easier to actually move forward. A lot of times people don't have a map or a flow chart or a plan, so they just jump right in and don't really know what to do next. We don't want that to be your case. We want you to be able to learn this system, implement it fast, and be successful. Video number 5, we're going to talk about different platforms that you can use. Video number 6, we're going to talk about the required site pages that are essentially going to be the user's experience. Video number 7, we're going to talk about the recommended scripts, the scripts that we have tested out, we have found that worked well for us over the last decade or even half a decade. And so these are time-tested things that we have actually tested out. Video number 8, we're going to talk about setting up part number 1, and setting up part number 2 will be video number 9. All right, so very important. I want to make sure that you are in the right mindset. A lot of times, like I said, a lot of people buy the membership script first because they feel like, okay, if I have the tools and I have the software that somebody is using, I will be able to implement a successful plan. And not so much, you're about halfway there, but you don't really want to start there first. What you want to do is plan first. And you'll kind of get an idea of how to do that once I show you how to do that. So plan first, and then we'll talk about scripts and the tools. All right. So before we discuss, what scripts to use, we really need to figure out what you're doing first, as different scripts cater to different needs. We could talk about Member Pro, which is one script that I personally recommend, and that's something that I've used for the last literally decade and a half. Or we could utilize a script that is less than $50 that, in my opinion, can do a lot more than a lot of the scripts that are a couple $100s out there. So with that in mind, and knowing that you have different routes that you can go towards, depending on different platforms that you use, we'll talk more about those later on. But for now, I just want you to think about, what are you selling? What is your price point? And essentially, what is the value that you're going to give to your customers? If you can think there first, everything else should fall in place. All right. So let's move on to video number 2 and talk about your products. Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 2, and we're going to talk about your product. So obviously you might be thinking, well, isn't this a no-brainer because I already know what I'm selling? Yes and no. The purpose of this video is to really figure out not only what are you selling, but how are you selling it? How are you going to kind of create a user experience? Who is your audience? How do they think? Do they think better a certain way? And all of that, because the way that you portray your products initially, first impression wise, can impact whether you get refunds, how long they stay, the stick rate, and all of that. All right, so let's dive in. So the question is, what are you selling? Obviously, I assume you are selling some sort of digital product, but what exactly is that? And I want you to, if you can, pause this video and just jot that down and write, what are you selling? What kind of medium are you providing? Are you providing videos? Are you providing an ebook? Are you providing a PDF file? What are you providing? All right, so what are you selling most importantly? Next, I want you to think about, who are you selling to? Now, you really have to think about this carefully because a lot of people tend to forget about this. Yes, you might know who you're selling to, but the next question that you should ask yourself is, how do they think? Will they accept the information? So if you're, for example, if you are talking to a specific group that tends to prefer videos, maybe you want to provide your products in the form of videos, or you want to provide more videos and training and so forth. If you're talking to a group that might be more maybe auditory, they might just want workbooks, PDF files, text documents, and auditory, basically MP3 files. So what I'm talking about is learning styles, different learning styles. You have people who are auditory, you have people who are visual, and you have people that are kinesthetic, that are more hands-on. Now, the reason why I say that is because this can actually contribute to your refund rate without really even knowing that. So what I'm showing you here is not just how to set up a digital membership site, but also how do you set up a site that can actually retain the members that you get, because we work really, really hard to get these clients and to get these customers through the door to pay for the product. You want to keep them, right? So that's the question that you should be asking. Is within my audience itself, how do they react to different types of media platforms, to media types? How do they react to different ways that I talk, different ways, that I provide the material? So those are just some things to think about. I don't really want you to get bogged down or stuck. I just want you to think about, as you begin to release the content, would it be better to drip feed the content? For example, if you have a large video course that might be several weeks worth of content, do you really want to provide it to them all at once? Or do you want to drip feed it to them, maybe 10 videos per week, and give them homework? Because if that's the case, you're going to need to set up a membership site that is going to drip feed, versus if you're going to give it to all of them at one time, you don't need a drip feed. You don't need to worry about that feature, right? So these are things that you need to think about, because as you can see, not all membership sites are created equal. No one script can essentially provide and solve the needs of every single different membership site. So that's why, if you think about how are you distributing your content, exactly the step-by-step process of doing so, then as you can see, your membership's blueprint essentially begins to evolve. All right, so I just want you to just think about those things right now. And also, how many products are you including? Are you just including one product? Are you going to have several one-time offers? Do they need to access those if they bought those? Are you going to offer back-end offers, which they can buy later on, so you can increase your lifetime customer value and your lifetime profit for that customer? Just things like that you really need to think about, because otherwise, if you think about it, even right now, if you buy a membership script and you try to set things up and you don't think about these things, then as you can see, your business model might be totally different. than somebody else. So just think about those things right now. It doesn't need to be complex at all. I just wanted to cover those 3 points. And now in video number 3, we're going to talk about price points. So what I'm trying to do is keep things simple enough so that you can jot it down. So before you move to video number 3, try to jot things down, answer the questions that I've asked you, and we'll see you in video number 3. All the things that I talked about in video number 2 and 3, we're going to map it out. You're going to see how you can kind of map it out and customize it to your own needs. And then we will begin to actually implement what we have discussed. Now, obviously, there are different price points, and depending on what you price and what you charge your customer, that can also show you what exactly you need to do. So there are obviously many different membership sites out there with different price points. Some have a one-time fee. And the goal of this is just to get people through the door and then sell them a bunch of back-end products. So that's one thing you could do. You could do upsells, you can do one-time offers, you could do downsells, and do all of that. Typically, these types of membership sites are a lot easier to create, but your lifetime customer value, or in other words, the amount of money you earn from the customer, is actually not as high unless you can really get them to buy all of your back-end offers. So essentially what this goal is to build a massive list. Now, with this said, these types of membership sites are actually a lot easier to create because it's just a one-time fee with the potential of maybe other back-end products. And then you have kind of the monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly, basically a recurring site. Now, another thing you have to think about is, do you want to offer a trial offer? Do you want to offer maybe a setup fee? Or how do you want to go about this? If you do a trial offer, you typically have to do maybe $1 for 7 days, or how many days you want. Typically, I wouldn't do more than 7 days as for recommended advice. But if you do, let's say $1 for 7 days, and then after that, you charge them $27 per month. Now, if you do that, obviously, you're going to have a different blueprint than the person that is just setting up a one-time fee. So just some things to think about. Jot down what kind of price point you want to do. If you want to do a setup fee, maybe you charge a large fee, like a $100 fee up front, and then every month after that, it's $27 a month. So just jot down what your price point is. Don't think about anything else. Just keep it simple. And then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to kind of really map everything out. All right, so welcome back. This is video number 4, and we are going to map it out. So this is kind of the video where everything that we have discussed up until this point, all your products, how your audience is going to take in the content, how are you going to distribute the content, all of your price points, everything comes together and you're going to feel like, aha, that makes sense. This is my blueprint now. You're going to create your own blueprint and you're going to implement it in the future videos. Now, you can use any flowchart system that you want to use. You can even take out a napkin and write on it. You can even take out a piece of paper and write on it. But in this case, I'm going to be using a program called Lucid Chart. The only reason why I've been using this for the past few years is because I feel like it's a really good flowchart system. It's allowed me to really take things to the next level, take projects that have failed before and successfully implemented those projects. All right, so you can use anything you want, but I'm going to be using lucidchart.com. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so like I said earlier, I am going to be using a web application called Lucid Chart. That is lucidchart.com. And the reason why I am using Lucid Chart is because I've used many different flowchart systems, diagram systems, mind mapping systems, and I still ended up coming back to Lucid Chart. It's very good in terms of trying to map out your project, map out your membership site, and even map out parts of your business. And really what I've found over the years is that a lot of people, they don't really map out their business. And because of that, they end up failing because as they are beginning, for example, to set up their membership site, they don't know which direction they are going into. They are so into, the affiliate programs or the software or the scripts. I've been there and done that. Not saying anything that is horrible about that, but I'm just saying that what ends up happening is you are left to kind of wonder where you are supposed to go. Now, you could be using a mind mapping software, but personally, I don't recommend it. I recommend some sort of flow chart system. And Lucidchart, I found you really don't need the complex version. You just need the basic version, and give it a try, and I'm pretty sure you'll like it. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to map out a membership site. Now, as you can see here, pretty basic. We have all these shapes and different options that we have, but really what it comes down to is trying to map out your first step all the way to kind of your last step. And by doing that, even if we come to a roadblock and you're thinking, wow, I can't go further, I'm frustrated, you can at least see it on the blueprint itself. So okay, there is a next step. I just got to conquer the step, and then I can get to the next step. By creating this, you essentially will create a success plan. All right, so what we're going to do is, when we first begin to map out the project, we don't have to worry about what is in order. We just kind of put everything on the diagram here, and what we do is we just drop ideas. So, all right, so if we think about our membership site and kind of going to video number 2, video number 3, we can think, all right, so what is our product? We can say, okay, our product is it's a video course or something. And this can apply to an ebook, a report, or whatever else. So let's say we have a video course, and let's say, okay, how many videos is this? And I'm going to put down, let's say 40, we'll do 50 videos. And the question being is, we all know, and we should know from statistics, that the reason why people tend to quit and refund is not really because of the amount of videos, it's the being overwhelmed. So if you give them 50 videos at one time, you will overwhelm them, and they are most likely going to refund. So the question is, how can I drip feed that? Okay, so 50 videos, maybe I'll give them 10 videos per week for 5 weeks. All right. So in this case, I'm definitely going to have to drip feed it. So I'm going to put that down. Drip feed. Now, in thinking about my audience, I know my audience tends to be very visual and kinesthetic, because people who tend to like videos are visual or kinesthetic. Auditory people typically will want things like podcasting and MP3 files and just the audios themselves. So maybe I'll include the MP3 files as well. And maybe to get them to actually complete the work, I'm going to include some sort of action checklist or workbook each and every week. So that means they get 10 videos per week, plus they also get this many things per week as well. So video course, MP3 files, those are just mediums. So if you can see here, I'm just kind of categorizing them. I'm not putting them in any order. I'm just kind of getting all my ideas on here. All right, so think about it. Are we going to have like levels? Is there going to be like a free level? Or is there going to be something like a paid level? Obviously, there's going to be a paid level, but are there going to be different levels within the paid level? So something to ask yourself, but to be honest, I wouldn't bog myself down too much about this. And you can jot down, okay, is there going to be an affiliate program? Now, obviously, these are things that are external. So we can look at these later. This one here. This one here would be inner. It's kind of a good idea to figure out if you're going to have levels or not. But main purpose here is implementation. So let's focus on here. So really what I want to show you is don't worry about getting in any order at whatsoever. Just put these down and then we'll figure these out in a minute. All right. So now that we have talked about learning styles, so I'm going to stick with videos. I'm going to do MP3 or auditory folks. People who are kinesthetic like to kind of do hands-on type stuff. So they like to follow along and actually do it along the way. So we have the action checklist and workbook each week. So every week they got homework. So we can make this as homework. All right. So we've talked about what we're selling, which is a video course. Break it down. How we're going to deliver it. We're going to deliver it via drip feeding. And who are we selling to? We talked about learning styles. And then we need to talk about price points. All right. So what are we doing here? So obviously, now that we know that we are distributing it on a drip feed process for 5 weeks, I think I'm going to do what we call a fixed term membership site. Let's see, 10 videos for the. So we could either do a one-time large high-end fee of like $497 or even $197, or we can do a monthly fee. Now, I will say that trying to get somebody to join your monthly membership site up front is a very hard thing to do. Most people nowadays do not like to join monthly sites. They're very, very reluctant to doing so. So unless you have some sort of front end offer, you're going to have a very difficult time selling people up front. All right. So just keep that in mind. So if you do want to do a monthly, you probably want to think about selling some sort of even $7 upfront, or even $17 or $27 or even $97 upfront. Even going from a high number down to a lower monthly rate can actually do pretty well as well. So these are just some of the things that we have tested over time and found to be working. So in this case, I'm just going to do a high-end fee of $197 for the course. And let's make sure that we put it to the right place. So this is going to be this one here. And let's say that I have a different one where, okay, after they pay the course, and maybe you can add some sort of like community as an element of recurring, because at the end of the day, okay, let me tell you a secret. People buy the information initially, but people stay for the community. People like to join Facebook groups, a community, a forum, because if they feel like, okay, I can get help along the way, then they're more likely to stay in a monthly membership site. So actually what you could do is you could add a component of a community. So we could say you could get extra training, extra webinars, extra community, like a Facebook community or something. Facebook or forum. I will say Facebook communities tend to be a little bit more easier to manage. The forums are a little bit more difficult because you have more information. But all right, so as you can see here, let's just do $197, and then let's do a $27 per month. So we're going to tack that on. So essentially what is happening here is we have $197 upfront course. They're going to get all of the 50 videos, but they're going to get it on a weekly basis. And then after they pay that, they are going to have an upsell that says, hey, would you like to join to get extra training, extra webinars, and join the community so that you're not ever left in the dark? All right. So there you go. I have essentially created a membership site. Now, obviously, you're never going to get everything 100% complete. As what I mean by that is you're never going to get kind of an outline of every single thing you want to do right now. And that's not really the goal. The goal is just to get all of your ideas on a piece of paper and then reorganize them as the next step. So let's do that right now. Let's reorganize it. So right now, obviously we have free level, and I would recommend if you do free level, do like content marketing, find videos here that you find people would really want to pay for, and then create some content, like free content around them. So you get them into the door and then you get them to a paid level. So let's just do free level, free content. So this would be content marketing. So you could even use this to kind of build a list. Let's put this in order. So obviously we got free level, and then we're gonna make an arrow to go from here to here. And from the free content, we are going to build a list like that. And then we're obviously going to want to sell people into the paid level. So build a list, and then of course we are going to use the autoresponder system to sell the course. So you're basically providing as much value as possible to get them into the paid level. Now, of course, at this point, we kind of need to move things around here. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to move it down a little bit so that I can play around with things a little bit here. All right, so I'm going to make space right here. And this doesn't have to be fancy or anything like that. Right now, I'm just kind of reorganizing them so that it makes sense in a step-by-step process. So obviously, pay level, that's going to be the 50 videos. So let me consolidate everything. 50 videos, video course. I don't need this. And I'm going to say $197 up front. And delete that. And I'm going to move this up here, right here, like so. So that's the paid level, is the 50 videos video course, $197 up front. And then, of course, what they're going to get is they're going to get the MP3 files, they're going to get the action checklist, and this is the recurring fee here. So I'm going to move this here. So let me zoom in a bit so you can see it better. But the way we're going to deliver it is we are going to deliver it via the action checklist, the MP3 files, and they're going to get it drip fed. I don't need this. I can consolidate it into here. So I'm actually going to move this over here like that. There we go. So we're going to drip feed it via 10 videos per week. And what I like about Lucidchart, if you notice, if I move things around, it makes sure that everything is aligned correctly. So it really makes things nice and neat. So you don't have to figure out where the grid lines are, and you can really organize things in a better way. So we're going to drip feed. See, MP3 files of videos. And actually we can consolidate that into here like that. All right, so that's a paid level, but you can go here and then they get these automatically. And then we have the upsell, which I'm going to say, I'm going to consolidate that. Like that. And I'm going to do upsell number 1. So if you wanted to do any downsells or anything like that, you could. But I'm going to keep it simple like this: $197 up front and $27 per month extra. And there we go. So by looking at this, we have external sources like affiliate programs. We can even add things like how are we going to promote it, which is actually part of the affiliate program. That could be affiliate program. That could be, we could have a Facebook fan page. And there we go. So I'm not going to connect the promotion side to it yet, but I'm going to kind of color code it now. So this is the free level. So what I like about Lucidchart is you can literally make it so that you can change the colors. So we could have maybe a light blue like that. And we can turn the pay levels or we could do paid level, the $197 up front, and we can make this paid level maybe something like a light green. And then we could change the upsell into a different color, like a light orange. So all this does is it just allows us to kind of see, color code things so that we can kind of categorize things in our brain. Maybe pink, something like that. Okay, so now, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see that we have essentially set up a blueprint. And of course, we can add to this as we go, but this is kind of the general thing that you want to have in hand. Now you can see, okay, I've got a free level, got free content, marketing, I got to build a list. Now, obviously, inside of these, you're going to need to figure out, okay, what autoresponder am I going to use? What kind of content am I going to use? Who am I going to hire? You obviously can add more detail into it later on, but now you have a game plan. All right, so now you have what most people never ever have, which is a game plan. And now we can figure out how we're going to set things up. So now that you have things in hand, we can move on to the next video.